Hayden Panettiere is dead at just 36 years old, and the details emerging from Greenville, South Carolina, have raised heartbreaking questions about what happened during her final hours. The hero's Nashville and Scream actress died on Sunday, August 16, 2026, just days before her 37th birthday. Her death was confirmed by her representative on behalf of her family. Greenville police say officers responded to a report of an unresponsive woman at a residence shortly before 2 p.m. Before we get into what police and her family have actually said, make sure you subscribe to the channel, because we're following the latest verified developments and separating confirmed facts from online speculation. According to the Greenville Police Department, officers responded after receiving a report that Panettiere was unresponsive. Emergency responders attempted to save her, but she was pronounced dead at the scene. And this is where it is extremely important to slow down. There's been intense speculation online about the circumstances surrounding her death, including reports concerning a possible overdose and cardiac arrest. However, those reports should not be confused with an official determination of her cause of death. The Greenville County Coroner's Office has completed an autopsy, but the official cause and manner of death remain pending. Investigators reported that there were no signs of trauma contributing to her death, while police said a preliminary investigation showed no signs of foul play or suspicious circumstances. In my opinion, that distinction matters enormously. When a celebrity dies suddenly, social media immediately tries to fill in the blanks. People see a dispatch report, an alleged 911 detail, or something from an unnamed source, and suddenly treat it as the final answer. But Hayden's case is still being investigated. Police have not announced that her death was an intentional overdose. They have not announced that it was suicide, and they have not officially established a specific medical cause. So right now, the responsible thing is to say exactly what authorities have confirmed, and nothing more. There is another important part of this story: Hayden's family statement. Her father, Alan "Skip" Panettiere, spoke on behalf of the family and described Hayden as an extraordinary presence in their lives. His statement expressed profound sadness over the loss of his daughter and described her as an incredible light and a force of nature who brought love and joy to the people around her. The family also asked for privacy as they try to process what they described as an unimaginable loss. And honestly, that request tells us something about how devastating this moment is for the Panettiere family. This isn't simply the death of a famous actress. For her parents, she was their daughter. For her daughter, Kaya, she was her mother. For her friends and colleagues, she was someone they had known, worked with, and loved. And for millions of viewers, Hayden was a familiar face who'd been part of their lives for decades. What makes this tragedy even more painful is how much Hayden had already endured publicly. She became a working actor when she was a child, appearing in commercials and television before eventually becoming one of Hollywood's most recognizable young stars. Her breakthrough came with Heroes, where she played Claire Bennett, the cheerleader with the extraordinary ability to regenerate. That role transformed her career. But then came Nashville, where she played Juliet Barnes, a complicated country music star whose personal struggles increasingly became central to the story. And looking back now, there's an uncomfortable parallel between Hayden's real life and the character she portrayed. Hayden had been remarkably open about addiction, depression, and postpartum depression. Earlier in 2026, she published her memoir, This Is Me, A Reckoning, in which she discussed some of the most painful chapters of her life, including substance abuse and emotional struggles she experienced after becoming a mother. That history is now being revisited following her death, but I think we need to be careful here. Hayden's struggle should not become a shortcut for explaining her death before investigators have completed their work. Someone can have struggled with addiction and still die from a completely different medical circumstance. Someone can have experienced depression and still have a sudden physical health emergency. And someone's past does not automatically explain their final moments. That is why the coroner's final determination will be so important. There's also another heartbreaking layer to this story. Hayden's younger brother, Jansen Panettiere, died in 2023 at just 28 years old from heart-related complications. So her family is now confronting another devastating loss involving one of their children. And that makes the family's request for privacy even more understandable. Hayden also leaves behind her daughter, Kaya, who is 11 years old. Kaya's father is former professional boxer Vladimir Klitschko. Hayden's relationship with motherhood was complicated and deeply personal. She previously spoke publicly about postpartum depression and her decision to give Klitschko full custody of Kaya in 2018 while she focused on her recovery. She described that period as extraordinarily painful. But Hayden continued to speak positively about her relationship with her daughter and her co-parenting relationship with Klitschko. That is why I think the most important part of this story isn't simply asking, how did Hayden Panettiere die? It is also asking what kind of life she was trying to build before her death. And the answer appears to be, she was trying to rebuild. Her memoir showed someone willing to confront painful parts of her past instead of hiding them. In her final public period, she also spoke about vulnerability, recovery, and using her experiences to help other people. That makes her death feel especially tragic, because at only 36, there was still so much life ahead of her. There were still stories she could have told. There were still roles she could have played. There was still time she could have spent with her daughter. And there was still the possibility of becoming the person she had spent years fighting to become. So, where does the investigation stand right now? As of August 17, 2026, the key facts are these. Hayden Panettiere died at 36. Police responded to an unresponsive person call at Greenville, South Carolina residence. Emergency responders attempted resuscitation. She was pronounced dead at the scene. The autopsy has been completed. Authorities have reported no signs of trauma contributing to her death. Police have said there are no indications of foul play or suspicious circumstances in a preliminary investigation, but the official cause and manner of death remain undetermined. That last point is critical. So if you see headlines claiming they already know exactly how Hayden died, take a step back. Until the coroner officially releases a cause and manner of death, some of those claims remain unconfirmed. My personal view is that Hayden Panettiere deserves to be remembered for much more than the circumstances surrounding her death. Remember the little girl who started acting before she was even old enough to understand Hollywood. Remember Claire Bennett from Heroes. Remember Juliette Barnes from Nashville. Remember Kirby Reed from the Scream franchise. Remember the woman who eventually decided to talk publicly about struggles that many people would have preferred to keep hidden. And remember that behind the celebrity headlines was a real person dealing with very real pain. The final answers about her death should come from investigators, not social media. For now, her family is grieving. Her daughter has lost her mother, and fans around the world are trying to understand how someone so young could be gone so suddenly. Hayden Panettiere was only 36. And perhaps the most heartbreaking thing about this story is that her life was still unfinished. Rest in peace, Hayden. And to her family and daughter, may they have the privacy and strength they need during this unimaginable time.